this Cherokee Almanac, we explore the history behind the Cherokee Nation Capitol building. After our forced removal and the original building burned, a new one was built in Tahlequah, Indian Territory, where it stands today. This building served as the center of our government until Oklahoma statehood in 1907, which deeply affected life in Cherokee Nation. In 1838, Cherokee Nation was forcibly removed from our homelands in the southeastern United States, and that meant leaving our nation's capital, the very place where our leaders met and fought against colonial encroachment.
In the immediate pre-removal period, the capital of the Cherokee Nation shifted from New Echota in present-day Georgia, just over the border into Tennessee, to Red Clay. Leaders made this decision in order to continue conducting governmental business and continuing to meet despite additional pressures to remove.
When Cherokee Nation was forcibly removed to Indian Territory, we had to completely rebuild our government structures and establish a new capital. In 1841, 2 years after the last detachment reached Indian Territory, Tahlequah was designated the new capital city of the Cherokee Nation.
Following resettlement in Indian Territory, most gatherings in Tahlequah were actually held out in the open. Eventually, a council grounds was established with a fenced-in area where several log structures were built, and this is where the National Council and the Supreme Court would meet.
These structures remained in use until the political division of the U.S. Civil War ravaged the Cherokee Nation. Many prominent structures and homes of Union Cherokees were targeted by Cherokee Confederate General Stand Watie.
When it comes to Tahlequah, after John Ross has redeclared loyalty to the Union, any semblance of unity that the Cherokee Nation may have had when everyone was with the Confederacy is gone. And Watie approached this as a kind of scorched earth policy. He comes through town, burning and destroying anything he comes across. And when he encounters a group of Penn Indians at the Capitol conducting business, he burns the Capitol building to the ground and then writes his wife a letter about it.
I went to Tahlequah and Park Hill, killed a few Penns in Tahlequah. They had been holding a council. I had the old council house set on fire and burnt down.
On December 6, 1867, the Cherokee National Council passed an act to build a new Capitol building in Tahlequah. This new structure would be the center of Cherokee government and would be a symbol to Cherokee people and the world around us of a modern and prosperous Cherokee Nation.
What the Cherokees are trying to do at these times of stress and pressure on them is to show in brick and mortar that they are a substantial people.
Cherokees wanted to telegraph to the outside world that they were a civilized people. They were acculturated, and they were equals.
I think it was very important to Cherokee Nation to choose a form of architecture that reflected the prosperity and stability that it wanted to work towards.
The new Capitol building was completed in 1869, and this building was the seat of government for the Cherokee Nation and housed many Cherokee Nation government offices.
Not only did the principal chief, the Supreme Court, and the National Council operate out of this building, but it also included offices for positions such as the treasurer, the superintendent of public schools, and the auditor.
This building was the physical representation of the emerging Cherokee force in Indian Territory.
The Capitol building was built to include all three branches of the government, and in a very real way, it served as a literal manifestation of Cherokee Nation's seat of power.
The Cherokee government would continue to prosper in Indian Territory until the U.S. federal government passed the Curtis Act in 1898 and the Five Tribes Act in 1906. These repressive policies would hinder the Cherokee Nation government.
Following the Five Tribes Act in 1906, all tribal assets had to be liquidated or sold off. Shortly thereafter, Cherokee County took possession of the Capitol building and used it as the county courthouse.
Around the same time as the sale of the Capitol building, Indian Territory and Oklahoma Territory were merged to form the state of Oklahoma.
Cherokee Nation regained ownership of the Capitol building in 1979 and used it primarily to house its judicial branch. In 2018, the judicial branch actually moved over to the W.W. Keeler complex after an extensive remodel, and we were able to start interior renovations to the building to turn it into the Cherokee National History Museum.
The Capitol building is back in the hands of Cherokee Nation, and museum visitors can learn about Cherokee history and culture, beginning with our origin stories up to our modern-day nation. This building still stands today as a representation of a strong and steadfast Cherokee Nation.